just a bloke in a bar.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Grumpy Coffee. Get to grumpycoffee.com.au. Grab your Grumpy Coffee. We've got multiple blends. We've got pods. We've got whole bean. We've got ground. We've got it all at grumpycoffee.com.au. Find out why we have a rating out of like 4.5 out of 10 over, I think, hundreds of ratings. And matter of fact, the only bad ratings actually aren't about the taste of the coffee. It's actually about when we launched, and it took a while to get to the person that ordered it. So they actually even said in the order that it tastes beautiful. It just took too long to get to me. So that's all been sorted. So the taste is good and it gets to you quickly. Head to grumpycoffee.com.au and see the coffee that everyone's raving about. Also brought to you by Bloke Undies, premium undies. Trust me, guys, give them a shot. They are absolutely outstanding undies, super comfy. And most people, when they grab them, they shoot me a message and they go, man, I'm actually genuinely surprised at how comfy these undies are. They're at bloke.shop. Head over there and grab some Bloke Undies. All righty, let's get into it. The big fella, Connor Tracey, is here. How you going, brother?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, first of all, how's the preseason been?
Yeah, it's been good. Just towards the end of it now, which is good. It's been tough, but at the same time, it's been enjoyable to have sort of that same squad together and getting some more time together. So, yeah, we're sort of flying at the moment, so it's looking forward to some games.
And so last year you said you missed the preseason, and notoriously last year was like a hectic preseason. Has it been a shock to you? Because you're 28 now, so you've been through, 10 preseasons pretty much by this stage, or maybe even 11. Has this preseason shocked you in the intensity of it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I've done a few. I've probably missed a few just through injuries and that. Like this is the first full preseason I've done for a while. And yeah, I've definitely noticed how tough it's been. But you need that these days. The game's so fast, and yeah, everyone's training hard. But yeah, the level of detail we have, it's pretty cool to see, and it definitely you can feel yourself getting better at just like the little basics that we're trying to do.
And Ciro, as a coach, you would have had multiple coaches by now. What's kind of something unique that he brings, especially like super interesting? Ciro's like, I guess, rise to where he is at the moment is like that first year. It was like just disaster, a lot of pressure. All of a sudden, it was like this assistant coach that had all this hype, a lot of questions, and then eventually the squad clicks and almost believes in what he's trying to bring, and you see what happens with it. What's it been like working under Ciro, and also what do you reckon his point of difference is as a coach?
Yeah, I feel like the whole squad had to buy into his method. It's a super smart sort of defensive system he has, and just our buy into that and how sort of well he runs it has been really cool. And probably the thing about Ciro is his attention to detail. Like the drills we do are super simple. It's just sort of the excellence in it. Like we're just looking to be the best at the simple things. So you watch our training and you'll be like, they're doing drills that you see under eights do, but it's sort of about how we do them. That's the key part. So
is it like, for example, it's watching the real specifics of the basics. So let's say he might watch video and say, when you were coming into this tackle, your right foot was in front of your left foot. Is that what you're talking about when you're talking about specifics?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's all those little details that you wouldn't even think about, but we're pedantic about them when we watch video on them. So yeah, it's just been really good at those little things, because obviously in the game they're going to add up to create the big picture.
Isn't it? It's so interesting how like you would think that the game as it progresses the drills would get super complicated and crazy, and yet he's almost gone, the opposite direction of let's look at the complicated nature of the simple things. So let's look at the most basic part of rugby league and break it down into tiny pieces and go, how do we make ourselves almost as perfect as possible in the simple stuff in rugby league?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, yeah, you think you're probably doing more complicated stuff in under 20s as opposed to sort of what we're doing. It's sort of not a complicated game, but sometimes you can make it a bit complicated. Yeah. But if you're nailing the basics and you're just doing the little things right, it takes you a long way.
Man, it's insane how much, we hear it every single year. Defence wins premierships. And defence is like, although you can have a system that might be a bit complicated or hard to grasp, but eventually you grasp it. But at the end of the day, defence is relatively simple. It's all about effort and bravery, really. Like that's it. Are you continually moving your legs? And are you tough? Like outside of that, like yes, technique definitely matters to a degree, but I think that like everyone in the NRL these days that do so much like wrestle and contact and all that everyone's technique is relatively solid. Now, granted, I do believe like centers and wingers have, and even probably halves they need to have like a very specific kind of technique for the one-on-one tackles. But outside of that, like I feel like a lot of it is just mental toughness, really.
Yeah, like especially in the middle. So defense, it's effort and fitness basically. So watching what our middles do, how they help our edges, like if your middle's not helping your edges, it's going to make their job much harder. So the sort of pack we have and how fit they are and mobile, it definitely transfers out and it's helping our edges defend.
And so this pre-season, what's been? Did you get a chance to do an army camp or anything like that? A leadership camp? Was it anything like that?
Yeah, we had an army camp.
Yeah.
It was a 1-night one. So
Okay.
they did a 3-night one last year, which I missed. So I was like, I didn't know what to expect going into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, how hard can one night be? We weren't really sure like if it was going to be an army camp. And one night was quite tough.
Mate, sleep deprivation is actually like, it's the hardest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Like you can do fitness literally all day. Like for example, if you said to a really fit athlete, you know, you're going to towel you up fitness all day. Like, yes, it's going to suck and yes, you'll be tired, but you just get through it. Whereas sleep deprivation, that for me is just, that's the hardest. Easy.
Yeah, 100%.
Easy.
Yeah.
So one day, and was it just a mixture of kind of like fitness, leadership, thinking whilst you're fatigued? All that stuff?
We had some footy with it, and then we had the army guys come down from Brisbane, the TLT boys, who are part of our sort of little group here, and they're really cool. But yeah, they definitely challenge you. And we're up at 4 a.m. doing some pretty cool stretcher carries. So yeah, it was a bit of fun.
Do they still talk to you like an army drill sergeant, or they've chilled a little bit the army like sergeant, the army leaders, I guess?
They can switch it on and off a bit more, probably
okay.
because they come to our games. They're sort of part of our group.
Yeah.
They know us, our group now. But yeah, there's definitely some aspects that they're getting into you.
Mate, it's funny when I remember a lot of people think that the hardest thing about doing army camps, because we did the first one I ever did was a 6-day one, and it was just like.
What coach was that with? Was that
Wayne
with
Bennett?
Wayne, I did one under him too.
Did you? Well,
South,
so
yeah.
mate, you know what they're like.
Yep.
And look, they ended up winning the premiership that year, so it definitely was worth it.
Yeah.
But it was a 6-day one. But
6
people
days.
think, oh yeah, they don't do that anymore. It's silly because you lose so much weight, and you just
I'd lose 10 kilos.
yeah. Oh, I literally lost 10 kilos.
Wow.
And so the toughest thing is not actually the drill sergeant or whatever you call them, the yelling. It's the fact that they don't give you any emotion.
Yeah.
It's the lack of you would be shocked at how much every single day, where whoever you're talking to, you're actually waiting for validation on how they're reacting to you. Like, are they smiling as you talk? Are they, do they look angry? Once you get in one of these army camps, because they give you nothing, like literally nothing, it's so unnerving. And you might think, holy shit, that like drill sergeant hates me. And it's not until the camp ends and you see them morph into who they actually are, that you go, oh, okay. Like I wasn't doing as bad as I thought I was doing. That's the most unnerving thing. It's the lack of emotion. You're just not used to it as a human being. But they obviously do that on purpose to see how you're going to react to that. Who's been the hardest army camp that you've done?
The Wayne Bennett one I did was quite tough. That was a 3-night one. And I remember we were sleeping. We obviously knew we were going to get woken up, so you're not really sleeping.
Yeah.
You're in your clothes, you've got your skins on, and you're sort of waiting for it. And then we just hear this shotgun sound, and someone's out there with an actual shotgun shooting into the air.
Holy.
We get up, whatever, start doing drills.
Yep.
I remember running, and there's like cicada. I can't even explain it. It sounds like a movie. There's like cicadas like raining down on us. It was like still don't get it. We're in the middle of the bush. We're doing these runs and these push-ups, and there's cicadas hitting you.
What the
And
hell?
boys are freaking out because they're like getting in our top. It was a surreal experience.
Far out. So that would have been what, 2021 or 20?
It was around then, 2020 or 2021. Yeah.
Far
But
out.
I was young then. Yeah, it was a shock to the system that.
Mate, but as you know, I think anyone that does them, once they've completed it, they're like, you know what, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Because you come so close as a group. What is something that this preseason you guys have really focused in on? Obviously, you don't need to go into too much detail, but like I'm sure Ciro would have gone over so much tape over last season and said like, where are our deficiencies? Where can we improve? What has been the real through line for this preseason for you guys?
It's like I said, it probably sounds a bit boring, but it's literally the basics. Like we're a big believer of the system that we have, and we just need to do more reps of it. So we had a lot of time together last year, but that was our first full year, a lot of new guys. So this year it's just been that whole squad's together again and just repping out as many reps as we can. And just the more reps you do, the better you're going to get. And the more confidence you're going to have. It's just like any sort of skill, like catching bombs. If you catch 1,000 of them, you're going to be pretty confident. So everything we do, we know what we're doing. It's just about consistently doing reps of it and getting better.
And so are you guys, you get in at about like 7 and leave around 4? Is that normally the time that she's trained, or is it just differ each time?
Yeah, pre-season's about that. You got pretty big days in pre-season. You're waking up real early.
Yeah, look, I don't think most fans think this anymore, but I do believe there was a period where people thought you'd come in for like 3 hours of training and go home.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's full-time hours.
Footy's changed, yeah.
Yeah,
It used to be like that,
yeah.
but with how demanding it is these days.
Nah, it's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job.
I think it's, the big part of it is the study part of it. Like there is a lot of study now, a lot of tape, a lot of going over training tape, a lot of taking notes. Whereas when I came in, don't get me wrong, it was literally still 7 till 3.
Yeah.
But so basically when I started, it was 7 till 3, but it was like you'd come in, you'd do probably like a 3-hour session on the field. You'd have your recovery, your ice baths that might allow an hour and a half or an hour. Then you'd have lunch, and then you do hectic weight session. But there wasn't much video. Like there was like 1 day of video pretty much. Whereas I'm assuming nowadays it's almost like every session you're probably looking at the tape to a degree.
Yeah, probably multiple times. So pretty similar. You're doing your field and your weights, but in between that is meetings, most of them video meetings. And then individually as well, we're always on the computers reviewing like even the training we're doing. So
yeah, wow. Yeah. See, we never did, like early on anyway, we didn't review training. We only reviewed the game. In saying that, I was under Wayne, who is notoriously not into, I mean, I know he's changed a little bit, but doesn't do that much video. Yeah. So like this year for you guys, I guess, sorry, for you personally, like, you know, I feel like you were given an opportunity to really lock down the fullback position and you flourished there and almost grew more confident as each round went on. Is that what it felt like for you? Like, what did this year feel like for you?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool year. Obviously started on the wing. As I said, missed the preseason, so it was probably a bit of a blessing to get some fitness up there. And yeah, it was just sort of connecting to the team. And by the end of the year, I really felt like we were humming. And you could feel it being a part of like all the new guys coming together. It was a pretty cool feeling that I probably haven't had in my career. I've sort of always been on the fringe and struggling to make the team. So just to be able to feel that you're committing and contributing to a team, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
And when do you think it, like, because I think Taff got injured or something happened, or maybe he's lost or something happened, whatever, and you got moved back to fullback, and then essentially you stayed there, or you maybe in and out and then you stayed there? When did you kind of know that, oh, okay, each week I'm probably going to be the starting fullback?
Yeah, I started there, I think around 7 it was, against Storm was my first game, and I was just trying to help the team as much as I can, and I enjoy playing wing as well. Wherever sort of the team needs me to fill in, I'm happy to. But yeah, it was good to, I guess the benefit of staying in one position is the training you get to do. You sort of have more consistency, you know what you're doing. Whereas other years I'd be playing left centre, right centre, left wing, 5'8".
Oh, bro.
So that's a challenge and it's enjoyable, but it's definitely, I mean, you can nail down more on what you're doing and you sort of know what your job's going to be more every week. So that part of it was cool.
And so have you been training fullback all preseason?
Yeah. That'd
have been a blessing. You'd be sitting there going, this is glorious.
Yeah. Well, it's been good having a full preseason. Like, as I said, I haven't had one for a while. So it's been tough, but yeah, you know how fit you're getting and it's going to be good for you come the year. So it's been enjoyable.
And so were you a part of that Roosters game last year? It was just like wild, like people getting sent off and...
Yes. Yep. Played on the wing.
What, do you remember much from that? That was insane.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
We started off so well. I think we were winning 26-0 or something.
Yeah.
And then, Taffy got hit, sent off. Dom Young got sent off. And
and then he had it was a ripped shirt. Was that when he walked off with a ripped shirt, maybe?
Yeah, and there was a few other sin bins and concussions, and it was crazy. And they started coming back.
Yeah.
It was actually a wild game, and it was raining, and
Oh, man, that was...
It was one of those games that you just finish and go, what just happened?
I reckon for you guys, like, when I really was like, oh... Like, at first, like, throughout the season, it was like the Bulldogs have definitely improved. Like, absolutely no denying the Bulldogs have improved. But I reckon it was the Broncos game where everyone went, oh, hang on a sec. Like, not only have they improved, they're probably going to make the 8. Like, they're one of the better teams, form teams at the comp. And this is obviously the game where you scored a hat-trick. Do you remember heading into that Broncos game? And because it was just a very unique plan of just like, we're just going to spread it constantly back and forth, run their big forwards ragged, and you just absolutely tore them apart. Do you remember that game and like the specifics of it at all?
Yeah, we had a pretty clear game plan that game. I mean, not every game you're going to shift a lot, but yeah, that game we did. So
every set
it was
was
just
crazy.
Sort of knew before the game it was going to be, you're going to be involved a bit. But yeah, it was a good win, especially up there at Suncorp. It was pretty cool to sort of show that we can win that sort of way. Because a lot of our games we won gritty, which you want to be able to do, but there's going to be times where different game plans are going to have you.
3 tries at Suncorp. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, first hat trick, which was cool.
Wow.
yeah, it was a pretty cool night.
Walk us through that. What was your favourite try out of those three? Surely, I mean, I'm assuming you remember each one. Surely.
Nah, I don't remember. My one in the 16th minute. Favorite one. Probably the last one was pretty cool. I was just pushing up, scored, and then I went to kick the ball, and Josh Curran tackled me and hip dropped me. So.
Oh my God!
He would have got 6 weeks if it was on an opposition player.
Did you gain a lot of confidence out of that though, getting that hat trick, and the boys had played well, and it wasn't Magic? Was it Magic Round? No, it wasn't Magic Round.
Not Magic Round. No.
It was at Suncorp, but he's just built from that. Like that's where a lot of people took up and stood notice of the Bulldogs. Did you feel that?
Yeah, we were building that part of the year, and then towards the end we had I think 5 wins in a row. So you could sort of feel we're getting more confident every week, getting used to how each other plays, and as I said before, just watching our middles defend from the back, it was pretty cool, seeing how they sort of stopped teams from getting upfield. So you could sort of tell by the end of the year we knew exactly what we were going to do, and yeah, we fell away a bit, but yeah, it was a pretty special time. And
so you get to the end of the year, and you do 1 or 2 games. You kind of, I think you dropped the last 2 or 3.
Last 2, yeah.
Last 2?
Yeah. Oh, and the final. And
then you get into the finals, but you actually played really well when you got into the finals. I guess, walk us through the final series.
Yeah, we reviewed that recently. So we thought we played well. We did play well. We started good. It was just probably little things, but overall, the first 70 minutes we played really well. So it was just taking little lessons, and finals footy is different. It probably more goes back to the simple parts again. And this time, hopefully, when we play that this year, we'll be better off for it.
Just like, we always talk about teams need superstars and like big game players, and like Tommy Turbo just out of nowhere just like makes a play, him in DCE to like win the game. It just shows you that like that experience matters so much because they've been there and done it so many times. Yeah, legit. He had to make a play there on last tackle, and he did. So yeah, it was a good sort of learning for us, I guess, to always stay switched on. And on the flip side, and come time to make a play, should make one. Yeah. And so I guess, was it a bittersweet ending? Because I'm assuming you guys probably felt we could have gone deeper, but at the same time, you did have such a great year. Oh, losing a finals game is the worst. It's always, it's a weird feeling. Like, especially when we were up and we thought we were playing well, and yeah, it takes a while to get over. But looking back on it, once the dust settles, we'll be better for it. Yeah. And so, mate, growing up, was it always rugby league for you, or is it multiple sports? Like, what was it? What was your main sport growing up? Yeah, no, it was always footy. I mean, my dad played a few games for the Sharks, so yeah, I started playing young, and all I ever sort of wanted to do was play NRL, and yeah, I've managed to do that, which is pretty cool. And did you play any other sports at all, or was it just purely rugby league? I did like the Nippers, Little Athletics. Oh, really? What else did I play? Damien Cook, eh? Yeah, Damien Cook. Cookie. Yeah, beach sprinter. Hey, far out. He's got a challenger. Yeah. And what did you say? Sorry, and then bit of athletics as well. Yeah, bit of athletics. Did you go right at athletics? Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Probably stopped that once footy got a bit more serious. But yeah. Did you go to state or anything like that? I think year 6. Year 6? Back in the glory days. Oh, yeah, good. Start reminiscing, yeah. Good. Freaking year 6 athletics. And so, growing up, because your old man played for the Sharkies, was like that your team growing up? Or? Yeah. Grew up in Cronulla my whole life, so yeah, Sharkies was the team, and yeah. Did you know your dad was like a first grader, or you just didn't see him kind of like that? Yeah, he told me a few times. I sort of always knew, and always used to ask him to show me videos of him, but he never really liked that. So, oh, really? Yeah, I've just heard stories about, apparently he was a tough little hooker, so. Man, I tell you what, if my son's asking for highlights, I'll be putting them on repeat. Oh, mate, this is your old man, so don't be talking. You forced him into him. Yeah, absolutely. If he's like layering up, oh, Dad, I made this like little rep team, I'll be like, that's fucking nothing, bro. Get out of here, son. 100%. Come back when you've played an NRL. I remember he played, I think, 9 NRL games, and as soon as I played 10, I don't know, I was like, yeah. Oh, that's great. So I guess growing up, like, did you feel like you excelled at sport or not? Like when, because like there's kind of 2 paths. There's like, I just grew up and I just enjoyed playing sport, footy or whatever. And then there's like, no, really like from a very young age, like I loved it. Like it was my whole life. My whole week was dedicated towards the end of the week when sport was on, and I would sacrifice. I wouldn't go to parties or whatever. What was it like for you? Yeah, probably the latter. Yeah, I loved it. Used to sleep in the footy kit and that growing up. And yeah, it's probably just stayed the same when I was young. I was pretty small when I was younger, so probably struggled until about high school. But yeah, no, I've always loved it, and it's sort of always been what I wanted to do. Did you make rep teams in high school or anything like that? So didn't up until about 16s when I grew a bit, and then I made a few back in the end of high school. And what rep teams were that?
I made the schoolboys team.
Aussie schoolboys?
Aussie schoolboys, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Bit of stack squad, that one. We had Latrell Mitchell and, a lot of other talented players.
Big Trelly Mitt.
Yeah.
Okay, so did it go from, let's say early, year 8 till, I don't know, 10, were you still decent but just too small?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the size was always a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
And was that something that like a coach said to you, like, listen, you're too small, or was it just something that you would just struggled with, personally kind of thing?
It's probably, just something you feel. Everyone grows at different rates, but it probably helps you. I mean, it's probably a bit of a curse being bigger when you're younger because you sort of
100%.
you sort of have it a bit easy, but
you don't have to work on all your technique. Whereas honestly, being little, like you've got to have good tackle technique and contact technique.
Yeah, legit.
Okay, so when you did, so basically you went from, let's just say year 16, that's year 11?
Yep.
So you went from year 10 not making any sides to year 11 making the Aussie schoolboys.
Yep.
In 1 year. That would have been a bit of a shock for you.
Yeah, so I think it was year 12 Aussie schoolboys.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool, and played 20s that year. So that was a pretty cool year.
Pretty rapid rise though, like from going from 10, like too small, not really, making the big rep sides to 20s within a 24-month period.
Yeah, it does happen. It happens pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You sort of I was in the Shark system for a bit, and then just stayed in that, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. What age did you get pulled into the Sharks system?
Probably after SG Ball, I think. So I was always sort of in like the development squads and that, but probably SG Ball. Started probably training a bit more there.
Do you remember getting selected for the Australian squad? Like, did they? Because like with soccer, there actually wasn't any Australian squads. I think till maybe year 12. But it basically at the end of the carnival, they would announce the team.
Yeah.
Is that what they did for Aussie schoolboys, or what did they do?
Yeah, they announced it. You're all sitting there. I was up in Darwin, so extremely hot playing.
Yep.
And they announced it after. So
and
we had the year every 4 years you go to England. So it was that year. So
no
you
way.
go to France. So everyone wanted to make it. And you're sitting there and they call you out. It's pretty cool.
You remember that moment hearing your name?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was pretty.
What position was it?
I was playing 5'8" back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So they call your name, you walk up in front of everyone, you shake whose in hand did you shake? Do you remember that?
I think our coach was Brian Baptiste, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Put the Australian jersey on, you feel like a king, but yeah.
Also, they give you it straight away?
They give you one to put on, take a photo on that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Far out. Okay, so you get selected, and I'm assuming you're just buzzing. And also, when you get to that point, being selected in the Australian side, like there are a lot of NRL clubs that go, there's interest.
Yeah.
What about the trip overseas? How did that come about? What was the trip like? Did you just win? Did you lose? What was the trip like?
Yeah, it was good. We were there for a fair while, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So sometime in England, sometime in France.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you miss 4 to 6 weeks of school?
No, it's after school. So it's like when everyone's on schoolies. So you miss schoolies.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. You're playing footy in England and France.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So it was pretty cool. Pretty good trip, and it was fun.
So you get over there. Did you immediately, straight into training and then play England or France? Like, where did you head first?
I think we were in England. Oh, my memory's terrible. It was about 10 years ago now. But we started in England, I think. I didn't play much. I had Jack Cogger and Brock Lamb with the halves.
Okay.
So I was sort of just playing some trial matches and that. But it was still a pretty enjoyable trip.
Oh, man.
Saw the Eiffel Tower and that. So
I'll tell you what, like being the third half is almost like a better trip because you can just like cruise around, but you're still a part of the Australian side. What was the favourite part in regards to like just as from a personal perspective? Do you enjoy travelling?
Yeah, I love travelling.
Yeah, so like I'm assuming you're sitting there going like just buzzing, seeing the Eiffel Tower and the history over in Europe. Like, what was your favourite part of it there?
Yeah, France was pretty cool. Seeing the Eiffel Tower for the first time.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool experience, and speaking of the boys, it was a pretty cool trip.
Man, the crazy thing about Europe is like everywhere you look, it's picturesque. Like there could be a cafe on the corner and you're like, oh my God, that looks like a cafe from the movies. But to them, it's literally like your bloody local cafe that we walk around where we're just like, it's the bloody local.
Yeah, legit.
But to you, you're sitting there going like, it's beautiful architecture and it's got all the cool colors, the noise, the ambience, the language. Okay, so you go away, you get back from that trip, and did you just go straight into the under-20s for Sharkies?
Yeah, so I played when I was 18, the last few games of 20s. So that was cool to play sort of a bit underage. You're pretty young then. Just finished SG Ball, played 20s. And it was pretty cool to sort of play in that team.
And so what made the move across to the Sharkies? The Rabbitohs?
So I played 20s that year, and then that was a mad year. Made schoolboys, played 20s after SG Ball. And then 2019, when I was 19 years old, I played the first few games of 20s, 4 games, and then tore my ACL around 4.
Oh.
So it was sort of like all sort of started to come crashing down there.
Yeah, wow.
And then it was pretty tough, 3
So
years.
were you with the South?
I was with Sharks then.
Sharks then, okay.
Sharks.
So you tear your ACL there, and being young, I'm probably think the first time you do it, you're probably sitting there going, I'll be sweet.
Yeah, 100%. First time, I hadn't had an injury before, so I was going, it's sort of cool, get to have surgery, you know, I'll be fine.
Bit of time off.
Yeah, a bit of time off.
Yeah.
I was only young, and I played pretty good those first 4 games of 20s,
Yeah.
which sort of helped me get a contract after when whatever happened. So, and then I did my rehab for 8 months, and then I was training with the Sharks that preseason. It was the year they won the comp, actually, doing some work with the full-time boys, and my first like sort of skill session, which was 8 months after operation, tore it again. So it was simple. I just got sort of pushed off the ball after I passed, landed awkwardly, and like, as soon as you've done it. And as you said, the first one, you don't really stress about it, but that one was like, what just happened?
Because you didn't even get to play any footy
Don't
as
get to
well.
play, nah.
And I guess they'd already taken a little bit of, not a risk, but like shown a bit of faith by putting you straight into the first squad. Like, not the 30, I'm sure you would have been development.
Yeah.
But you're still training with the first grade squad at that age, which is bloody good. And so I'm sure you coming back, you probably were like, all right, now it's time for my career to start.
Yeah.
So first skill session.
First skill session, yeah.
The
So
same
8
leg or
months
the
in.
different leg?
Same leg.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
So
And you just think straight away, I've got to go through that all again, what I just did. Like, it's a lot of rehab, a lot of training. And
Did you have a 2-year deal at least or a 1-year deal?
so I was off contract, but that's why it's lucky. South signed me after I'd done my second one.
Wow.
With training, which was pretty
That's awesome.
lucky.
Yeah. Okay, so you do the second one, and I guess where's the head at? Like what,
I bought a boat that afternoon. So I've always sort of like used hobbies to sort of,
distract
because you
from
wrap
it.
your identity up in footy, and when
Yeah.
you don't have it, you need other things. So
Yeah.
a tactic of mine was just having different hobbies. And I had a boat when I was younger, sold it, and then as soon as I did my second one, I was like, all right, I need to buy a boat. So I went on to
No
Marketplace
way.
and bought a tinny, and then just dived into fishing. I was fishing every afternoon. And
Really?
I'd have my dad there, like lifting me up with my brace on, like getting in the boat, and I just dived.
Wow.
into
I mean, it's
fishing.
smart to distract though. 'cause
Yeah.
If you don't, you're just sitting at home
Legit,
melting,
yeah.
like just going, life's terrible, everything sucks.
100%.
So you get the second one. I guess, like, what are you thinking, like, in regards to, are you like, am I going to get a contract? Like, what's the conversation like with your manager?
Yeah, it was pretty tough, but as I said, Souths they offered me a 2-year deal, so that was pretty lucky.
Far out.
Obviously, it was lucky I played pretty good those first 4 games of 20s, and
Yep.
so then I went to Souths on the back of my second reconstruction,
Yep.
and then I'd been rehabbing for another 8 months. It was literally the same time, and I was just training with the Souths physio. It was the off season. Up on like a little patch of grass. It wasn't really a field, and it never felt that good. My knee back those first 2.
Okay.
Like, the graft I got probably would change that if I had my time again. So I was just training with the physio on this little patch of grass. Went to step off my left, exact same thing. Just like
Same leg and everything.
same leg, felt it pop like straight away. Just knew third one in a row. Like, what's going on?
So when you say graft, I would do the graft differently. What do you mean by that?
So I got an allograft.
Yeah.
Which is like a donor tendon, so from a dead person.
Okay.
Which at the time I thought was the right decision, but yeah, looking back, there's been some studies that show it's best to have your own
thing.
own thing in there. Yeah.
Yep. So that it like attaches well, like
Yeah. So
more
I reckon-
naturally.
Yeah, I reckon that's what happened. It didn't really attach. That's why I could always feel not quite right.
Really? So the whole time you're kind of in the back of your head, you're thinking like, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But you've got this program with this
Yeah,
time,
you
and
gotta
they're
stick
telling
to
you
it.
that you're hitting these marks.
Yeah.
And wow.
So then the third one was obviously like, yeah.
What'd you
some
buy?
soul
Did you buy
searching.
another boat?
I
What'd you-
didn't buy another boat. I don't know what I did. I think that one was a bit more depressing after that.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much fun fishing. I was more, sitting at home with squirrels.
Mate, so are you at this stage, are you saying my body's not cut out for it? Like, are you almost blaming your body? Like, where do you direct the reason for this? Because like when you're young, you always want to say there's a reason this is happening.
Yeah,
and
for
sometimes when you get older, you're like, sometimes bad shit just happens.
yeah.
But when you're young, you're not thinking like that. Where's your head at with that?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to find a reason, but it's pretty tough when you've done 3 in a row, 2 at training. And then the questions come then obviously like, am I ever going to play again? Because like you've done 2 at training, hadn't played for 2 years. So yeah, it was tough, but went into the surgery, had like everything you could possibly have done. My own patella, had like an extra protective thing. So massive rehab, that one, much harder than the first one.
Yep.
Because I had to have like 2-stage surgery, so to fill the holes in. So yeah, that was a very long surgery. But South were awesome, and they sort of got me up after that, and yeah, that was the last one.
Did you consider giving it away?
I didn't, because I was lucky with the contract situation. Like
Okay.
at the time I did it, I still had 2 years, so
Wow.
I was always just like, no, I'm not going to give up. Like, but back in your mind, you know, if you do another one at training, it's probably you're not going to be able to play again. So
No way.
that rehab process, just learning how to step off it again, yeah, it was tough.
Were you like, when you first started, like, okay, we're walking, okay, we're a few months in, now we want you to jog straight. When you got to the point of, okay, now we need you to change direction, were you just like so nervous?
Yeah, just like mentally on the line, preparing yourself. Like, mentally, all right, I'm going to step off my left foot here. And
just keep everything in shape, everything like, you know, core switched on, everything, because you just wouldn't want anything to be loose.
Oh, honestly, yeah, that third rehab was a tough one, but we did it right. It took ages, like 15 months till I played after the third one. So
15 months.
15 months.
So you've essentially had like
3 years,
48 months, no, like 36 months out of the game.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit more.
It was 3
actually.
years, so it was a tiny bit over 3 years until I played. It was a pretty special game.
So that first game, you're
Actually,
sitting
I'll tell you something else I did that was weird on the hobby thing. I didn't eat chocolate for 3 years because I was like, after my first one, I'm like, all right, I love chocolate. And I was like, I'm going to not eat chocolate till I play again.
No way.
And then I just kept hurting myself. So it'd been 3 years and I didn't have like any bit of chocolate.
And like because you've committed,
I had to do it.
you don't want to keep, and let's say you get 8 months in.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I've gone 8 months.
100%.
And then you do it again. You're like, well, I've gone 16 months.
Yeah.
And then you're like, fuck, I'm far out.
Yeah.
So what was that first chocolate? Did you have it after the first game?
So the first game was a trial for the Bears. And it was pretty special. I had my family there and my girlfriend had never seen me play footy and we've been together for 3 years.
She's like, you even a footy player?
Yeah, she was like, what are you talking about? Like, you want to play footy? Like, I've never seen you do it. So that was pretty cool. Obviously, pretty nervous.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, but got through that. And then, the chocolate afterwards was unreal.
What do you remember? What type of chocolate?
Oh, I got heaps, like dairy milk, everything.
Oh, really?
Oh, everything.
Just
M&M's, just splurged.
Far out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So that first game, what's that feeling like when you're putting on that jersey for that first game? Is it just pure nerves? Like, is it, I'm going to get a touch early? Like, what is it like?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous. I feel it took me half a year though to get back to like sort of how I play. I was very bad at the start. Playing for the Bears, very bad. Playing 5'8", but I didn't want to run. So it was like, I'm a sort of a runner now. It took me a while to get into the groove of being tackled again. And yeah, once I started to run again. And
did you stay in New South Wales Cup or did they put you down into local?
I reckon I was about to get dropped.
Really?
I was 12 rounds in. And I was about to get dropped, and I was going, all right, I'm going to have to start just running here a bit more.
Let it go.
Just let it go. So back into that year, started to get some confidence and started to sort of feel like myself again.
No way. Okay, so you get through that. And so were you back training with first grade or did they put you to New South Wales Cup training as well?
Yeah, no, I was full-time. Yep. So I was full-time with South at that time.
Okay, and was this 2019?
That would have been 2018.
2018,
Yep.
okay.
So that was my comeback year through New South Wales Cup.
Yep.
And then 2019 was with South again, and that's when I debuted. Yeah, middle of the year.
Okay, so 2019, that's when you would have had a full preseason too, I'm assuming.
Yep.
How's the body? Like, because you would have never felt what it's like to have a full first grade preseason. How was the body feeling after the first preseason that you did?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. Who we have then? I had 3 different coaches at South. So I had Wayne, Siebes, and Maguire, all 3 of them.
No way.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to have those sort of coaches because they're all obviously great coaches. So see how to learn off all 3 of them.
And they're so different.
So different, yeah.
Like literally, they're all on the 3 different ends of the spectrum. Like you've got Madge, old school, tough, all that stuff. You got Seabold, very new school. You know, then you got Wayne, that's just his own beast.
Yeah.
Okay, so the call to make your debut, did it come out of the blue? Where did it come? Like, walk us through that whole situation because like one of the great stories of perseverance, sticking with it. I'm sure you would have dreamt of that moment like constantly through rehab. It would have got you through rehab probably.
Yeah, legit. It was pretty cool. So Cody was playing Origin and he had a bit of a sore shoulder. So I kept going to him, mate, I think after Origin, just have a little bit of a break, you know. Just like, I need a week off. And he played Origin and his shoulder did pull up a bit sore. So yeah, Wayne had a chat to me and told me I was going to debut. So it was pretty cool. Obviously what I went through to finally debut, it was a special day.
What's that feeling like when you're walking away? Like Wayne's just told you you're about to make your NRL debut. something that probably in your head before that you're sitting there going, I just want one.
Yeah.
If I just tick that box, I can say I did it and that's all good. But then obviously once you get there, that changes. But yeah, you're walking out of the office or wherever Wayne told you, what are you feeling like?
Probably pretty nervous. So I feel like you're very nervous for your first game.
Yeah.
Don't know what to expect, but yeah, at the same time, I was pretty excited to finally get that shot after it's been a long time, a lot of hard work. So yeah, it was cool.
And so what do you remember from your debut? What, like sitting down before you're about to run out the jersey? Like what do you remember?
What was it? Banquest, I feel, and yeah, pretty nervous. But at the same time, you don't know what to expect. You probably get more nervous now because you know what you're about to go through.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool, and we didn't win the game, but yeah, it was special to have your family there and yeah, share that with them.
And so you end up signing with Sharkies. So how did that come about? After you'd worked so hard to get back into the Rabbitohs kind of squad or thereabouts, how did it come about that you'd sign with the Sharkies?
Yeah, so I played one game. Played pretty good, and then my second game was a shocker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, terrible. I think I got hooked. And then
no way.
Didn't play again.
Do you remember the when they came out and said you're coming off?
Yeah, you remember it. It's never never nice, but you're playing pretty bad. You know what's about
You
to
know
happen.
what's happened?
So, yeah, that wasn't ideal, but it's just another little learning curve.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
What works and what doesn't. So yeah, and then back into that year, Sharks were interested. So yeah, it was probably the one club. So it was cool to go back to where it started.
When you got hooked and you're sitting on the bench, like where's your head at? Because you'd fought so hard to get there. And you're like, oh, maybe I'm not an NRL standard. Because you get through, it goes through your head. I know it's just one game, but when you're trying to make it in NRL, you've got these quite extreme emotions. So you think like, oh, it's all over, or I'm about to do this, or I'm about to go in this direction. What was that feeling like for you?
Oh yeah, you think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be pretty dramatic as footy players, and yeah, it's never a nice feeling. But end of the day, it's just. I mean, what got me there was working hard and sort of just had to get back to that. And yeah.
And so you sign with the Sharkies, you head over there, and you not only in 2019, before you head to the Sharkies, because Sharkies 20, aren't they, from 2020?
Yeah, 2020, yeah.
But you also get named in the 2019 Canterbury Cup New South Wales Team of the Season. Did that give you heaps of confidence? Like, just to be like, look, I've made the team of the year for New South Wales Cup. Like, that means that I'm one of the better players in reserve grade, which means I'm very, very close to first grade.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that was after getting hooked as well. So sort of went back and was able to, put that behind me and finishes the season well. And it doesn't mean much making that team of the year, but it does for you at the time. Like, it's pretty cool.
Sure. When you're that young, it is good to know, like, oh, I'm actually one of the better players in the whole comp, which means that, like, I'm not that far off NRL.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And yeah.
And so you sign with the Sharkies, you rock up there. I guess, is it just all about a fresh start? Let's go. Let's just like, yes, the Rabbitohs were so good to you. They gave you that long, 2-year deal. However, like, there's always going to be that baggage of everything that had happened with all the injuries. When you get to the Sharkies, did it feel like a fresh start?
Yeah, it did. And I was also pretty used to the facility. Like, I'd grew up there and played there before. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And yeah, I just wanted to rip into that.
So you rock up. And what's that preseason like? Are you the fittest you've ever been at that stage? Like, what's the whole preseason like for you?
Yeah, I think that was another full preseason under Bomber, and yeah, it was pretty tough, but it was rewarding at the same time. And I think I played off the bench that year, round one. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Is this when you started getting, because you are so versatile, seen as like a player that can slot in everywhere?
I think I was 5'8" that preseason. Trained just in the halves, and then had that year, and then the next preseason I did a preseason at fullback.
Okay.
But I didn't play fullback till ages later. But because I did a preseason at fullback, started having some injuries at centre. So I played centre.
Yeah. And
then I was like, oh, he can obviously play wing because he's trained at fullback. Then I started playing wing. So yeah, it was sort of a blessing in disguise. I did that preseason at fullback to sort of, then I could play wing, I could play centre. And I did that. I played a lot of different positions. And yeah, it was pretty cool. My time at Sharks, just filling in different holes.
And so you, at the Sharkies, when you make your debut in round one, your club debut in 2020, pretty cool feeling because obviously your old man had played for the club.
Yep.
Putting that jersey on, what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was unreal. As you said, growing up, I was a Sharks fan, so to be able to put that on and something my dad did as well, it was pretty special.
Pretty crazy roundabout way, you know. You have all those injuries and you come back to the club and you're able to make your debut. It would have been pretty proud, like, because your old man would have seen everything you've been through as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty full circle moment coming back to the Sharks, and yeah, it was pretty surreal.
And so round one, you make your debut against South Sydney.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What was it like?
Yeah, it was good. I've done that a few times at clubs versus the team I was just at my first game. I did that at Bulldogs too. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And I think I played the last 10 minutes at centre, and I threw a forward pass that could have won the game. So,
No, was it forward?
Oh, it was borderline. I'd like to say no. But yeah, another little learning, and then played a bit more that year off the bench and filling in different places. So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you play quite a few more games that year, and like, I guess, you know, what, 24, not even 24 months, maybe like 16 months ago, it's like, am I ever going to play first grade? Now you're slowly stacking up the games. You're probably at like 20 NRL games now, or maybe 15. Where's your head at in regards to your career? Are you like, because like it's a bit of a weird one because you're getting put in different positions.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm sure you're sitting there just stoked I'm here.
Yeah, the start of your career, you're just stoked to be there.
Yeah.
Like every game, you're just like, oh, I can't believe I'm playing. Like, yeah, and you're just sort of trying to play well. So it's pretty exciting when it's all fresh and you're happy to be there.
What was your favourite memory from 2020?
Oh, that's a tough one. 2020, I think I played Magic Round. I might have started for the first time. Scored my first try in the NRL, and that was pretty cool.
What do you remember from the first try?
Oh, it was like a kick backfield, and I got it and scored, I think.
How good.
Yeah, I got
do you remember who kicked it?
I think it was Ronaldo.
Okay.
Yeah. Went down the left, and he kicked it back, and I scored. And it was, laid up a bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, you laid up?
My laid up is always like awkward celebrations. It's so funny.
Okay, so you scored your first grade against the Brisbane Broncos as well.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Okay, so the next year is when you score your first double against North Queensland at Cogra. This is when you kind of get put, as you said, in like utilised as like a centre and a wing position.
Which is weird coming from 5'8".
Like you just
from 5'8", and then you're playing wing. So
yeah,
it was quite strange at first. But
is it like it's a really weird situation for a young fella to be in because you want to just be playing first grade, but at the same time, like you're probably not that confident each week because you're like, oh, I'm wing, like I got to jam in, I got to do the high balls.
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
I actually loved it, like because I did, a lot of training at fullback in that preseason, and just moving to the OBs, I felt like it suited my game more.
Yeah.
Like as a 5'8", I was obviously a running 5'8", but moved to winger and centre, and you're doing lots of carries, and I just felt like it suited my game a lot more. So I was really enjoying it. Learning new positions and feeling like you're helping the team. So that was an enjoyable year, just contributing to the team.
Well, the good thing as well about outside backs is like you can just almost not switch your brain off, but like just get through a bunch of work.
Yeah.
Whereas the thing with 5'8", like you can't really afford to just be a running 5'8". Like you've got to stay in the game. You've got to kick if it need be. At some stages, you've got to get the ball to your outside man. Like there's a lot. Like I know people go, oh, he's a running 5'8", but in today's game, you can't get away with just being a running 5'8". You've got to be able to organise. You've got to have a little bit of a kick on you. Yeah. So to be able to go in the outside backs where it's much simpler, you can kind of just I just need to work hard, really.
Yeah, for sure. But as it will come in the future, I'm glad I spent some time at 5'8" because it helps your fullback game. So my career's been all little pieces that it's all helped me.
Like a big puzzle that it all just slowly come together. So you're playing some bloody good footy, 2021. You guys just missed the finals, coming ninth, and this is also when they moved Bomber on and they brought Fitzgibbon in next year, I think.
Yeah.
I guess when that happened, were you a bit like, oh shit, you'd played 24 games, you'd scored 14 tries in that season, so it's like best season of your career, and I'm sure Bomber had a lot of faith in you, and there's a very comforting feeling when a coach backs you in.
Yeah.
And then when he gets moved on, it's like, oh shit, is the new coach going to feel the same way? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. Had a good relationship with Bomber. So it was sad to see him go. He did a lot for me. He backed me to play, put me on the bench that first year, and always sort of was helping me. So really enjoyed my time with him. But Fitzy came in and he was good too. He called me straight away. And it was pretty seamless, to be honest.
And so when Fitzy comes in as a rookie coach, what's it like playing under a guy like Craig Fitzgibbon? Yeah,
he's unreal. Just sort of the aura he has around the club, and how hard he works at his knowledge. It's pretty cool.
Is he jiu-jitsu man? Is he the jiu-jitsu guy? Apparently, doesn't he roll for an hour before a game or something like that?
Yeah, he does.
Holy.
I don't know what belt he is, but he's up there.
No way.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to wrestle him.
Loves it.
But before a game, he flogs himself so he can feel like he's
actually done some work.
Doing what we're doing. So it's a pretty cool mentality to have.
That's funny. That's good. That's good because like at least it just sends a great message to the boys. Like I'm in it with you to a degree. Sure. Like I've just I'd say so that year he comes in and you finish second on the table, and you moved around a little bit again in this situation, like this time, didn't you? You played a bit of everywhere. to a degree that year?
Yeah. So I did the preseason at centre.
Yep.
Thought I was sort of going to get a shot at centre, and then played 2 games, hurt myself, and then Sifa came and filled
Moved
in at
from
my
the-
centre spot, and then absolutely killed it. The best 7 games I've seen at centre. So
Crazy.
I was on the sidelines just in awe of what he was doing, and it was pretty cool how well he played.
I guess in this situation, a guy comes in, he plays really well, but you'd already been through so much. I'm sure you're just like, look, I know how to get out of this situation. Let's just work hard and just make myself available for whatever the coach needs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's never any point like kicking stones or anything. You just got to work hard.
Yep. And so that year, you guys, North Queensland were going to win the match, but were you a part of that? Actually, yes, you were a part of that. Yes, you were. Professional foul. Walk us through that game.
That's right. He's right.
Walk us through that game. Sorry, bro.
Was that the prelim?
I'm pretty
No,
sure,
not
yeah.
the prelim, it was the first final, wasn't it?
So with 8 minutes,
2v3.
8 minutes to go, Tracey was sin-binned for a professional foul on Val Holmes. North Queensland would go on to win the match 32-30 in extra time.
Yeah. That makes it sound worse than it is.
Walk us through the game though, because it was a cracking match.
It was a good game.
Match.
Yeah, it was a high scoring game.
Yep.
I was playing wing, and it was pretty cool.
I think I remember. Was it on the sideline? You held on to something like.
Yeah, they put a kick through, and I was winger, and I was running for the ball, and I think Val might have been a bit ahead of me, so I gave him a little nudge, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then they
Didn't look too good in slow motion. Don't take your eye off the ball and look at someone as you're obstructing them. More look at the ball.
Yeah. Just dress it up a little bit. But I mean, to be a part of that game, like, it would have been a sick experience.
Yeah, it was unreal. To play that home semi, it was in front of a packed crowd. It was pretty cool.
And so the next game you play South Sydney at centre. What was that game like for you?
Yeah, it was a tough one. I feel like we didn't play our best that game, and as I said, losing a finals game is never nice. You sort of finishes your season right there, so it's always tough memories when you lose one of them.
And so the next year, were you kind of, again, happy to be in first grade, but were you training at centre the whole preseason, or were you seen as a utility? Like, where were you at that stage?
Was the next year 23?
Yeah.
23, yeah. So I didn't play that well end of 22. As you said, I had that sin bin, and I wasn't playing very well. Had a few concussions. I wasn't at my best. And that preseason again, I had to interrupt the preseason. So, and then what happened? Lockie Miller went to Knights, so there was a chance to be like sort of a backup fullback. So that happened late preseason. So was training centre, doing a bit of training, and then flipped to fullback late in that preseason. So had a bit of a shot there, and then played most of Cup that year till about midway, and then played a few games, and then finished the season at fullback that year.
And so that's also when you signed with the Doggies?
Yeah.
And so you signed with the Doggies, and then the next day got injured? Is that
No,
how?
I signed with the Doggies. I got injured, the day I was meant to sign with the Doggies, before it happened. I was rattled.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and did you let them know and be like, guys, it's not a long-term one, it's just a couple months, or did you just go?
So it was pretty stressful. I think it might have been part of the reason I hurt my calf. So I hurt my calf as it was going on. Like, I knew it was coming close.
Yeah.
And get off the field, and I had a missed call from my manager. And I was like, he knows about the injury.
Yeah.
But then called him, and he didn't know. He goes, the contract's ready to sign. Like, well done. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is what you called me for? Yeah. I'm like, I've just been injured. He goes, never mind, hang up.
Yeah.
And then luckily Fitzy and Ciro are good friends. So Fitzy called Ciro. And then Gus called me, reassured me, but for a few hours there I was stressing.
No way. Oh my God.
Because I knew straight away it was a pretty bad calf injury. Like, I sort of felt like I'd been shot.
Yep.
And then I was pretty stressed, worried about the contract being off. But the club was awesome. Gus called me, Ciro called me, and they were really good about it. They said, we signed you for 3 years, not 3 months. So it was pretty good straight away to have that faith that they still want to sign me.
Yep.
But it wasn't ideal.
Oh, mate, not a great start.
Yeah.
And so did you sign with the Dogs because you felt like, you're first grader now and you wanted to play regular first grade? Like, what was the reason for signing with Doggies?
Yeah, it's probably more that. Could have probably stayed at Sharks and moved around a bit, but I felt like as you're getting older, you sort of want to be playing NRL more consistently. So, sort of saw what the Doggies were building, the players they had coming in, and obviously everyone knows Ciro as a coach. So, it was a pretty big decision, but one I'm glad I made. And
so you sign with the Doggies, and what's it, I guess, like that initial transfer across, like what's that feeling like? There's a lot of, they've signed a bunch of utilities and all that carry on, and you guys come out and and do really well. But like that initial going across there, were you nervous because they'd struggled the year before? They hadn't really gone that well and been like, or were you like, nah, Ciro's given me a really good indication of where the club's kind of headed?
I feel like everyone that came in, you sort of had to buy into it before you rocked up. Like obviously on the back of a tough year, everyone calling us utilities, but I feel like if you know footy and you looked further, you would sort of see the sort of player that was signed, not just the fact they could play multiple positions.
Yeah, well, we spoke about a lot in our podcast. There was a type of player that was signed.
So you guys would have picked it.
Yeah,
just hardworking players, and I feel like there's probably a reason we can all play different positions, but it was sort of the player that could buy into the system, which is a hardworking system, was sort of more the fact rather than being able to play in many positions.
Yeah,
and like I said, the players they already had, the superstars, Kicks, Burton, Reed, and then we had Critter coming. You got the coach, so Kurt Mann was coming. Like a lot of players, so you sort of knew they were on an upward trajectory, and it was cool to sort of be able to buy into something before you're there, if that makes sense.
And I guess it's like super rewarding to be able to take a team that's struggling into a team that's going really well. What was that feeling like seeing the Doggies fans get around you this year? Because like they were unbelievable. Yeah,
it was the best part of the year. I've never felt that community sort of get behind you. We'd have 50,000 people at like a round game. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, crazy.
That is crazy. And just how passionate they are. And just the sort of how you can make fans happy with how you play on the weekend. It's pretty cool to contribute to something that's bigger than yourself, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you reckon your advice would be to a young fella or Sheila that's going through an injury or a bit of a tough time? Because like, you know, when I ask you about it, you're very kind of upbeat and like, you just got to keep working hard. But I'm sure there were much darker times than just like, all good, I'll just keep working hard. I'm sure there were periods where you're just like, why is this happening to me, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely had some dark times. It's very hard. Especially, I feel like the one bit of advice I would give, and I've learned this as I've gone on, is you attach a lot of your identity to footy. Like you grow up, it's all you know. But then you have an injury or something like this, you're not playing for 3 years and you're like, who am I? So I'd say it's important just to not wrap yourself up in footy like as your identity. Like have other goals, other things you're interested in, and just trying to be a good person is probably more important than being a footy player, because that gets taken away from you. You got to have other things that you're relying on. Yeah,
it's I think the hardest thing of retiring when you quit rugby league, yes, don't get me wrong, it's one of them is you're not around the boys every day. You know, it's such a unique work environment. You walk in, yes, you're working really hard, but there's banter, everyone's upbeat, you know, like the boys get to have fun. Whereas when you walk into a normal job, it's just not the same. You know, every job has different challenges. Like, you know, a normal job's way harder, don't get me wrong. But it's just every job has different challenges, but also every job has different positives. And the positive about rugby league, it's that a bunch of young blokes just, you know, having fun pretty much, doing what they love. I think the biggest challenge though, when you do retire, is the identity thing. Yeah. It's like, you're like, I am a rugby league player, I'm a sportsman. And they drum that into you because like you have to. You've got to be so dedicated to the craft. But when you quit, it's like, what am I? Like, what am I here for? Like, you know, it's just this weird kind of situation you find yourself in. Because like, for example, like, let's say you're, you know, a lawyer or something. I don't think that you would probably identify as a lawyer, but nowhere near as strongly as probably a rugby league player does. Yeah. I think a lawyer would be able to transfer into a different profession much easier than a rugby league player would be. And that's probably the hardest bit, I reckon. Yeah, for sure. And it's probably because, your whole life is consumed. Like you've got to be professional all the time. So it's going to come with that, sort of side effect that your identity is going to be wrapped up in it. But I feel like I'm lucky that I went through that when I was younger. And it's still an ongoing battle, like trying to not have yourself wrapped up in footy and every little injury. Like that's when it hits you the most, is when you're injured, when you can't do something and you're like, what do I do? Like, you know what I mean? So to learn those lessons when I was younger. And even when I'm injured now, I'm much better placed to sort of know big picture wise, focus on other things. So what's your focus outside of footy at the moment? Is it still fishing or is it something else? Oh, I don't have any hyperfixation. Actually, in the off season, me and Corey Allen got into fly fishing. Oh, no way. We drive to the Blue Mountains. No way. Which is 2.5 hours away, about 3 times a week. No way. And then we'd walk 10 kilometers and it was pretty fun. And what, just zenned out? Or was there music? Was there no music? Like, what was it? No, we're just straight hunting, trying to get a trout. No way. See one and it's super exciting. We fished for 40 hours and we caught one fish. 40 hours? We added it up. We like, as in, a day would be 8 hours. We did that like 5 times. So 40 hours, we caught one trout.
And I didn't catch it. Corey caught it.
Oh my
I was so happy
God.
for him. He was very happy.
Far out.
Yeah.
What is the beauty in fly fishing? Like, I mean, it always looks great. Like when you're watching it on TV and it's all beautiful and the scenery and nature. What is the beauty of that?
Yeah, it's that. The scenery is really cool. You're walking up a river. It's pretty peaceful. And then just the thought of, I could catch a fish any second. Which normally doesn't happen, but yeah, it was pretty fun.
40 hours. That is
it's
actually
crazy.
insane. Is that something that if you could let's say tomorrow you had $10 million or something like that, would you love to travel the world and go fly fishing?
Yeah, I'd love to travel the world and do all sorts of things. I love traveling in general. So.
Where have you been so far?
I went to Mexico and Dominican Republic in the off season.
Really?
Which was
what was that like?
Unique. No, it was good. I've been to Mexico a few times. I love it. Went to Mexico City.
What do you love about Mexico so much?
The food's awesome. You go to Tulum and the water's amazing. They got these little underwater caves called cenotes, which are awesome. And then, I sort of just love traveling anywhere that's warm.
Oh, so you chase the sun, chase summer.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, okay. So are you a big history buff? Do you go over there and get into history or not really? More just the modern culture at the moment?
I do love history. If I stumble upon it, I'm pretty keen to go to Europe one day when I retire and spend
you haven't been to Europe? Oh, mate.
I haven't been there because it's always summer when we're playing footy, so I've got to get over there.
Yeah, because you would have been a little bit when you were 17, 18, but because you would have been playing footy, you would have actually got to explore.
Yeah.
Bro, you got to Europe is, and I've only been to Spain, Italy, and France. And Switzerland to a degree.
Yeah.
But the Spain, Italy, and France is the bigger that I went to, and I only really spent a week or two in each one. It's just it's the best, bro.
I feel like I've been there because my girlfriend Hannah goes most years in the summer.
Oh, really?
And comes back and shows me, and I'm
mate.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't, honestly, pictures don't do it justice.
Yeah.
The buildings, the castles. Has your partner been to Positano?
I think so. Yes, that definitely rings a bell.
It's actually insane. It's insane. When you get there, you're put it this way. I had a podcast while I was over there, and the boys thought that I had a green screen behind me. It looked hectic. Yeah, it's this huge cliff on the water and on the ocean.
What country is that in? Positano?
It's South Italy, Southern Italy. And you're just how is this real? How is this real? And the way you get into it is just tiny widening road. People driving in, I don't know how they do it. Some people are on scooters. Some people just walk down. It's just, and if you want to go and do anything in Positano, you got to walk up this friggin' crazy. Everything is on. It's it's an engineer's either nightmare or masterpiece. I don't know which one because it's almost dodgily put together.
Yeah.
But it works. It works. And then you've got there's an island. I'm forgetting what it's called now. Caro. Oh, I don't know what it's called. But Capri. There's an island that you go to. It's this tiny island. It's a 45-minute boat ride, maybe a little bit less. And it's this tiny island in the middle of nowhere, but it's built up. It's got people living there. It's got Gucci stores, Louis Vuitton stores, restaurants, everything. And it's this tiny island in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
It's crazy. Such a good spot.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
So yeah, you got to get to Europe. So I'm heading into this year. I guess what's the goal for you personally?
It's probably more just to keep contributing to the team. I mean, last year was cool because I sort of had a shift from Sharks. I was always in and out of the team, trying to stay in it. And then last year, I didn't really care how I played personally. I was just worried about the team. And that, it sounds weird, but you'd probably get that as someone that was in and out a bit. It's a pretty cool shift when you're in a team consistently and you don't really care how you play. It's if you got the win or not, how the team plays. So just to keep that sort of energy, just team first and how's the team going is sort of where I'm focused at.
And mate, I ask all the boys this, favorite rapper of all time?
Favorite rapper?
Yeah.
Ooh.
If you're not a rap man, you can just go pop, country, whatever you want.
I say Drake because he's coming and I'd love to see him. I do like Drake.
You're Drizzy fan?
Yeah, Drizzy fan, yeah.
The Drizzler? Favorite movie of all time?
Probably Shutter Island.
I
love those.
Was he, okay, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Was he aware at the end or not?
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was saying.
And do you reckon he
I
wanted
wish
to
I knew
go?
the quote because I'd say it. It's would you rather
live as a monster or some shit like
live
that?
as a monster or die as a hero?
Something like that.
Yeah,
something
that's
along
what he
those
did.
lines.
Unbelievable end to a movie.
Yeah. And then what's crazy is when you go back and you look at all of these tiny signs and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Wait, if you like that, you have to watch this show called Severance.
I'm watching it. Yeah.
Are you watching it?
Yeah.
How good is it?
Yeah. I literally just caught up all the way up last night.
Really? So what are you up to? Season 2? now.
Yeah, season 2, episode 4.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But yeah, Shutter Island for me, like even like little things like where he didn't have a gun and he's like, oh, I forgot my gun. Like all this like little details that you're just like,
you can watch it 5 times
and find all new details.
Which I have.
so good. Mate, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, bro. I really appreciate it, and can't wait to see you guys rip in this year.